And you know, there's a couple points that Darren made I think that are really important. It is a journey. It's not a destination. You're going to go through, and your ability to change and adapt and continue to re-look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know, I like to say to people, you're going to get 85% of the things you do, you're going to get it right. The problem and the challenge you have is you don't know which 85%. And if you're not reevaluating and rethinking what you're doing, it's going to be hard for you to make those mid-course adjustments. And in IT, that's hard. We love these Gantt charts, 18 months, and we have everything planned to the day. That world is changing, and the cloud is enabling a whole new next generation. Now, we know gaining access to applications, to tools, to data, to information is really important. What you need to do is really start to think about a broad ecosystem. And when you choose a partner, you're choosing an ecosystem. And that ecosystem is really important. And that's why we built out the IBM Cloud Marketplace. There are over 400 IBM and business partner offerings on the Cloud Marketplace. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of white papers. There's a lot of help even for the programmers, because what we need to do here is enable ourselves to share, because you learn by sharing. And so please spend some time and go to our cloud marketplace and get a sense for what we in IBM and our ecosystem has to help you drive your business forward. And now what I'd like to do is really summarize what I think the key takeaways are. Number one, the hybrid cloud is really important because it brings the best of both worlds. And it will help accelerate your digital transformation. And like I said at the beginning, the cloud is now about digital transformation. It's not about cheap storage or compute. It is about the transformation. And remember, the businesses require visibility, control, and security. So as you pick your platform and as you start to integrate your traditional IT and move to cloud, pay attention to visibility, security, and control. And then really make sure that you deliver a broad, or you build out your environment that is built on an open set of capabilities. Because what you don't want to do is tie yourself in. You want to maintain the flexibility. And you know, from an IBM perspective, we think that's really, really important. So that's why we put the next topic as the next discussion point on the agenda. And what I'd like to do is bring up Angel Diaz, who is our VP of Cloud Technology. And Angel will talk you through our view of what's happening in the open world and why it is so important. Please join me in welcoming Angel Diaz.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, everyone. How are you? All right. I'm going to try to be a bit ambidextrous. I spend my days with Robert looking after our cloud technology and architecture. But I'm going to try to put this topic and this imperative of open technology in a context that kind of explains it, why it matters from a technology perspective, but also why it matters from a business perspective. Right? We're living in an IT and business renaissance like I have never seen before. It is an amazing time to be a technologist. Those of us in the room who are technologists, we're walking around with a lot of swag, right? We feel good. Business folks, we're CMOs, we're excited because our ability to innovate, our ability to deliver value to clients is only limited by our imagination. We have lots of power, right? But with great power comes what? Only the technologists knew that, right? Great responsibility, right? Superhero fans, right? We have capability behind our four walls, private clouds, transaction systems. We have capability outside our four walls. We have the ability to connect the two. But it is on you, it is on us to develop skills and develop a mindset that allows us to drive that innovation, right? We think about it as T-shaped skills. As technologists, you might be an expert in platform or infrastructure or database, but you need to start to branch out, understanding what's happening to your left and right, and also be able to have a dialogue with your business leader about the art of the possible. And as business folks, it's not just all about the business, it's about the technology. It's about how you can leverage partnerships in ways you never thought of before because of technology to allow you to drive innovation. Because we know an application is not an island, right? I mean, we've known this for years, right? In insurance, when you do adjusting, you connect with police records, you get information about the historical analysis of what folks are doing in order to give them quotes. In banking, we've been using SWIFT for a long time. Healthcare, connecting hospitals and patients. All of this are examples of how applications, value we deliver to our clients, are not islands. But nowadays, because of the rate and pace of technology innovation and what's happening, right, these islands are popping up everywhere, right? We need to change them. 3 questions. Question 1, for the business folks in the room, how many times have you built the perfect business application right out of the gate? Well, you guys aren't perfect. For technologists, how many times have you built perfect code with 0 downtime? Really? Okay, that's amazing. What is your technology roadmap? One thing is certain around innovation, you will be surprised. And what's driving this is what's happening in open ecosystems. And what's going to give you all the power to pivot, right? To fix fast, right? To put pins, right? Was it pins you said? Pins, not stakes in the ground, is what's happening in the open ecosystems and open communities. And this is not new. Remember the advent of the web? Does anyone know why the web was created? Not so you can go to SportsCenter online and see what's happening, right? With the draft that might be coming up, right? That's not the reason. It was to disseminate physics information, science information, right? We're all kind of working to improve the world. Well, the same kinds of things are happening now. These open technologies are helping us do things we didn't imagine, but it's very different now. Because back then, while we were thinking about disseminating physics information, we're thinking about interoperability the same way. We're thinking about linchpins of technology that accelerates innovation and allows you to pivot, but we're thinking about them with the business context first. You all are actually involved in these communities that I'm going to talk about. You might not know it, but I guarantee you, your teams are going to these events. Your teams are probably participating and producing code. The way your developers work is very, very different. So what I like to do is give an example and use that example to kind of motivate some of these linchpin, these pivot points of open technology that you must demand from anybody that provides you cloud technology. Because the goal is to make all of these clouds behave as one, right? There is no reason that you should not be able to bring analytics closer to the transaction, perhaps, or to be able to move data out to a geography or get data from other geographies to make decisions. You want all of this to kind of seem as one cloud, your cloud. Now, I don't know a lot about video games, okay? So I'm going to try to give an example on a topic that I don't know a lot about. But at our cloud, I'm kidding, I play lots of games. But at our cloud conference, you guys are seriously looking at me. Way too serious at this hour. Can you wake up? It's sunny out. You know, we had our cloud conference, and we had a client and a friend of mine, Electronic Arts, give some presentations about what they're doing. And I'm going to use that as an example to talk about these linchpin technologies that we should be really, really aware of, okay? In the game business, much like any business, infrastructure matters, platform matters, and how you interact matters. Delighting the end user is how you create blockbuster games that are larger than movie releases. It is all about the user, okay? So we're going to go through the infrastructure and the platform and how you build the application to kind of motivate what they're doing. Because the way that we think about technology, it's almost as being an artist, okay? The infrastructure is your canvas. And your canvas, you cannot be constrained by the size of your canvas. You need to be able to move it, contract it, etc. The developers, they want many brushes. They love J2EE. They also love JavaScript and Node, right? They want to be able to not be constrained by the brushes. And the business folks who kind of imagine the art of the possible when you combine data from the Weather Channel with an application, they want those colors, okay? So that's what we're going to look at. The first one is the infrastructure. It starts with an open platform. right? You want to be built on an open hardware technology that allows innovation like no other. Technologies like open power. But you also want to have virtualized compute, storage, and network, right? At the infrastructure layer. Anyone hear of OpenStack? Right? A lot of you do, yeah? It just brings a tear to my eye because when we started OpenStack, remember Robert sent us off to kind of work with the community to try to build a movement around a ubiquitous open source infrastructure as a service layer. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. OpenStack is bigger than Linux. The first conference for OpenStack had like 75 people, and that's including someone who brought a dog, okay? We had, the one we had in Paris that Robert sent about 200 of us, thank you, we worked very hard. In Paris, there was about 6,000 to 7,000 people at an open source conference. We got one in Vancouver, and I was just with Jonathan, the executive director. They're sold out at 8,000, okay? And this is the infrastructure. We're just talking the canvas, okay? If you're not using an open technology to expand and contract your canvas, you're building a dead-end cloud. You will be locked in. You will not be able to handle downloadable content on demand, because that's how video game people make money. Okay? It's amazing because your infrastructure needs to be application aware. If it's going to snow or if it's going to rain, that's when these folks make money. They're so excited to be able to leverage what we're doing with the Weather Channel to predict that and get that downloadable content in front of the users. Because when your kids go home early from school, they might go out and throw snowballs at each other. They also like to download content, play games with each other, right? It's all about business. And of course, the advent of Docker, containerization, the ability to get more utilization from your capability. So these are very important linchpin pivot points that allow you to be flexible in your cloud. We're really proud to have been a part of this. I mean, we've got hundreds and hundreds of developers on this. We build our infrastructure on this technology, and we encourage you to be a part of that. So let's talk about platform. Because with Cloud Foundry and what we're doing with Bluemix is, frankly, creating a platform for the people. It is about getting the right brush to draw. Some brushes you want, high performance, two-phase commit transaction integrity. We've got that brush for you. It's called WebSphere. Okay? You want to be able to build a mobile application, maybe do some server-side code in JavaScript, which is the tied for #1 language after Java in the world. Node, right? Those are communities and languages that we empower with an open source ecosystem we've created around platform, Cloud Foundry. We launched that in December 9th. Why does that matter to you all? Why does it matter from a business perspective? You understand why it matters from a developer, but from a business perspective, it's about the ecosystem, because other folks are plugging in their capability in here, so you can get all of IBM's great, good stuff, as well as other folks' stuff, or open source's stuff. And these particular runtimes that I mentioned also matter, like Node. Anybody use Node, your CIOs, inside your enterprise? Yeah? Okay, well guess what? You might be exposed, because Node changed their licensing recently, which then caused us to create a foundation to help resolve that issue. So good open source, and open source that's well-governed, matters. And now how you build the application. You want to be able to build the application using technologies like HTML5. Do you all know who co-chairs HTML? You know what that is? You use it, right? Which company co-chairs HTML5? IBM. We co-chair HTML5 because we care about the entire solution, right? On-premise, off-premise, in between, how you build the applications. These are the pivot points. This is the technology accelerators that will allow you to live in a world, okay, where you can dream up leveraging technology like Watson, like WebSphere, like Twitter, right? Like SAP, like the Weather Channel, to build dramatically different applications and then pivot. And if you're surprised, to react. And there's a lot of discussion about disruption. And I'm not really, you probably didn't notice, I'm not a very negative person, I'm very optimistic, right? But, I like to be the disruptor, not the disrupted, right? And I like to be able to innovate, right? And having a cloud that allows you to innovate and be the disruptor, or the person that does good, is a really good thing. Now, a quick comment on community and culture. because I try to be ambidextrous and explain linchpin open technologies across your infrastructure, your platform, and your APIs, how you interact, right, and why it matters from a business perspective. But how you community and how you culture is very, very important. There's some HR professionals in the room, those of us who have big development teams, right? Guess what? You're not going to get talent, you're not going to retain talent unless you change the way you build code, how you build community, and how you run culture in your organizations. Because today's world, your developers, the folks who have that power, they want the merit badges, right? They want to be visible in the community. They want the recognition. It is a very, very different world. You need to change the way you behave, the way you reward, and the way you merit those folks, okay? Very, very important. And if you do that, it's not all about the money all the time, right? It is about how they get recognized, okay? And then that allows you to get the speed you need to innovate. And at the end, when you have that speed and you have those pivot points, you can do the frontline decision making. You can have real-time insight-driven processes. You can deliver on this digital innovation. So that's why it absolutely matters that when you build a cloud, when you use a cloud, your canvas, your brushes, your colors, it has to be open by design. So I encourage you all to participate in these communities, in this IT renaissance that's happening, right? We have a lot more clarity now than we did 4 years ago as to what matters in open source. And work with us to kind of drive the art of the possible. So, thank you very much, and I'll hand it off.